Bob Saar preferred to take the road less traveled on his musical journey and wrote songs about the faces and places he encountered along the way.
When I was living in the woods in Oregon in 1973, I wrote a song. I don't remember what I called it. I've never recorded it. But it started out this way. I started out in this business because I wanted to be the world. I wanted to do more than pick up some girls. And that's how I felt about playing rock and roll music. I wanted to do something that would be worth something other than just, let's go to the bar and make a lot of noise and play Hang on Sloopy until somebody shoots us.
Bob's first gig was at the Masonic Temple in Burlington, Iowa, March 26, 1965. He played bass for a band called the Jesters.
And we were very popular in Burlington. I remember the first time I met Dick Douglas, who's in the Iowa Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, of course. I asked him for his autograph, and I was so intimidated because he actually gave it to me and smiled at me. And a couple of years later, I came home from my first year of college, and a band in Iowa City called me. They're called St. John and the Heads. And they said, come on up, we decided to hire you. And I went, well, but Dick Douglas is your lead guitar player. And they said, not anymore, we fired him. And Dick Douglas was my idol. So that was terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying. But I joined the band, and that began the rest of my rock and roll life.
The band would move to Colorado, where they did a few notable things, such as open for Tommy Bolin's old band Zephyr. Eventually, they left for Chicago, lured by talks of a record deal. Big things seemed to be on the horizon, but different circumstances would keep them just out of reach.
In 1967, I believe it was, our lead singer got busted for having a joint in his dorm room, and we had to get a new singer, so we put an ad in Rolling Stone, and this guy named Eddie Mahoney answered it, so Alex Richmond and I flew out to San Francisco and auditioned him, and he was really good, but then we found Ellery Temple from the New Colony Six, so we were set. Later in Chicago, when the band was falling apart, I called Eddie Mahoney up and said, hey, you still want to be in the band? He goes, no, I've got my own band, my own deal going. A couple of years later, I pick up Billboard in a recording studio, and there on the cover is this guy named Eddie Mahoney. And Eddie Money, I'm sorry.
Inevitably, St. John and the Heads would break up, like most bands do. Bob found himself hitchhiking back to Burlington from Chicago with two guitars in tow in the middle of winter.
I was lucky enough to be hired by the Pete Clint Quintet, played cool gigs, made tons of money, just had a great time.
Bob's travels would occasionally yield mishaps, including the Gallup, New Mexico police pulling over the band van, suspecting the long-haired rockers of being the Manson family. Bob would spend an hour in an interrogation room trying to convince them he wasn't Charlie Manson. Soon after, he'd opt for the clean-shaven look to prevent future mistaken identity issues.
When my wife and I moved to San Francisco, I had an audition. I got an audition with Van Morrison, so I drove up to his house. And at first, I sat down on the curb in front of a Safeway and drank a beer and smoked a couple cigarettes and realized if he wants a guitar player, he's going to set that up with the record company. He's not going to like it if the record company, so I show up and go, hey, Warner Brothers told me to come up here. I didn't want to meet him that way, so I went home.
The early 80s was coming on, and MTV was becoming a honeypot for music. Bob joined the band Zephyr, and in '84 they had a video in rotation on music television.
It just goes on and on and on and on. It's rock and roll life, and the last time I played a gig was in October of 2019, and I played a farmer's market at 8 in the morning in Columbus, North Carolina, then drove across the border to Landrum, South Carolina, and played another farmer's market for a couple hours. So 2 gigs before noon. You find me another guitar player that can do that, even get up to do that. So if you want to know more about me, I wrote a book called In Memory of David Spuick, and it's available online at all the main outlets. And if you're really lucky and you buy it, write to me and I'll send you the soundtrack.